How's it going, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and MCU. And last night we got possibly the best episode of Marvel's What If so far. The story was fantastic, but a lot of us were wondering how exactly would all of this tie into the MCU, and this episode showed us how. And while the story is amazing, and the next episode is probably going to be the best episode of the entire series, I definitely want to talk about how Marvel's What If is about to move into the live action MCU, and how we're going to see some of these characters pop up in our main MCU timeline, probably in Multiverse of Madness. And of course, with that, I'll talk about what exactly happened in this episode, and talk about some really cool Easter eggs that they showed. And of course, if you're new, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel videos. Now, this episode is titled, What If Ultron Won? And it's really bad news for everybody. The entire universe, in fact, not just our universe, but other universes as well. The entire multiverse is at jeopardy if Ultron wins. So they take us through a recap of our main MCU timeline, where Ultron did not win, but instead Vision was born. And with the help of Vision, the Avengers were able to defeat Ultron, therefore saving the world, the universe, and the multiverse. However, in this What If universe, Vision is not born. Instead, Ultron takes the body that he designed for himself. He gets nuclear codes and successfully destroys the entire planet with nukes. However, Natasha and Clint survive because they were in a Quinjet at the time, not on the ground where the nukes hit. So they are currently kind of the only hope. The episode opens on a scene of Natasha and Clint killing Ultron's AI drones. Then the Watcher proceeds to give us the backstory that I just mentioned. However, the Age of Ultron, like the second Avengers movie was titled, the Watcher says was only the beginning, and then the Mad Titan shows up behind him wielding 5 Infinity Stones. The 6th one, of course, being the Mind Stone, which is in Ultron's head. Ultron spots the others, realizes that they are the same thing that is inside of his head, immediately kills Thanos and takes them. Now, Thanos is extremely powerful and his skin is extremely tough, but it is no match for the power of the Mind Stone, so this is almost actually karma from the other universe where Thanos kills Vision by ripping the Mind Stone out of his head. In this universe, however, instead of killing Vision, the body that Vision had kills him to get the other Infinity Stones from him. And from here, Ultron realizes that there are other planets, there's not just Earth. And eventually he becomes all-knowing and he notices the Watcher. The Watcher realizes this and says if a hunger like that, referring to Ultron, was released upon the multiverse, he realizes that the entire multiverse could be at risk of destruction, and this is how it's going to tie in the MCU. And I have a really big theory on this, but first, a big thank you to Private Internet Access for sponsoring this video. For those people in my live streams that have been saying that you don't have access to Disney Plus yet, Private Internet Access VPN is your solution. Through Private Internet Access VPN, you can watch Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, and all of the major streaming services from anywhere in the world despite where you live. What Private Internet Access VPN does is changes your IP address and reroutes your internet traffic through an encrypted tunnel. So if you don't have Disney Plus where you live, you can change your location to a country like the USA that does have Disney Plus and access Disney Plus this way. While all at the same time, you can safeguard your online privacy because the VPN software also blocks ads, trackers, and malicious websites. And Private Internet Access is the world's most transparent VPN with over 30 million downloads. And by clicking the link in the description down below, you can get complete digital privacy for less than $3 a month and 2 extra months for free, meaning it's only $2.08 a month and it's 83% off. So Ultron, if you noticed, was actually standing on the old Avengers Tower, a nice little Easter egg they threw in there. The Avengers were the only thing stopping Ultron from conquering the world. So when he finishes his conquest, he finishes it on the Avengers Tower. And once Ultron gets the Infinity Stones and realizes that there's more than Earth, he begins to go across the universe, doing what he really thinks is cleansing it. This guy is way worse than Thanos. He's not trying to kill half of the population for a somewhat justifiable cause, maybe, depending on how you view Thanos, but this guy is simply killing everything. So we go to Asgard and he completely destroys it. It looks like Asgard is supposed to be destroyed one way or another in each universe that it's in. Then he goes to the Sovereign and we see the Guardians of the Galaxy actually trying to defend it as well. And what's interesting is this does appear to be Peter Quill Star-Lord, not T'Challa like we've seen in the past. This attack also is seemingly happening right during the time of the opening of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. We then go to Sakaar, and we see the Grandmaster and Buddy Koog trying to kill all of Ultron's AIs, eh? Unfortunately, they are unsuccessful and Sakaar goes down as well. He then takes out Ego, with ease I might add, and then heads to Xandar. And if you slow some of this down, you can see some of the people scrambling. Some of those people are a part of the Nova Corps. And yes, some of those people may look like the character Nova, but remember, all Nova Corps wear that helmet. Now, he doesn't have such an easy time with Xandar because Captain Marvel shows up. And if there was really anybody who had a chance to stop Ultron, it would be Captain Marvel. Unfortunately, she is unsuccessful and Xandar goes down. So Ultron eventually destroys the universe, and he's kind of heartbroken, like the Watcher says, because he realizes that his purpose is fulfilled. He is no longer necessary. However, as the Watcher narrates, we realize that Ultron becomes aware of the Watcher, and the Watcher says that Ultron ascends to a previously unattainable level of consciousness. And this is what allows Ultron to actually become aware of the Watcher. And this freaks the Watcher out because he has seen everything in every universe, but he could not see this. And it startles him to the point to where he actually says, what the hell is this? And this is where things start to get very, very big and important, not just for the What If universe that we're watching, but for the entire multiverse of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the Watcher actually realizes this, and something you have to take into account is that Marvel Studios, the people, the producers at Marvel Studios have said that What If does connect to the MCU. And our question was always, how? But this episode helps us answer that a little bit more, and the answer is the Watcher. The Watcher has been established in the MCU at this point as the person who watches over the multiverse, not just one universe, but the multiverse. And they have said that this does take place inside of the MCU. That means the Watcher is indeed real in the main sacred timeline. That means that in the universe that they are currently in, where Ultron is threatening the multiverse, he's actually threatening our sacred timeline as well. And we see that threat become a reality because Ultron actually breaks through his own universe's barrier and he jumps into the multiverse and attacks the Watcher. Ultron just went from despair and having no purpose anymore to having a brand new destiny, destroying the multiverse. And when he finally finds the Watcher says, you do not have to do this, but Ultron says, it is my purpose. And from here we get an incredibly epic fight, and I hope we get something very similar to this in Multiverse of Madness because this was insane. Now the only hope for the multiverse at this point in time is Natasha and Clint, and they search for the files of Zola. We know that Zola is now an AI, and pretty much the only chance of wiping out Ultron. And as they head to Siberia, Ultron and the Watcher go at it in an epic multiversal fight. Now, as the Watcher and Ultron fight, we hear a really cool statement that has a lot of implications towards the future of the MCU. The Watcher says this shouldn't be possible, but Ultron then breaks out of the multiverse again and says, oh, but anything is possible in a multiverse. And again, big implications towards the actual MCU because the multiverse is going to exist. It technically already does, but it's going to start to really come into play in Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. In fact, Ultron attacking the Watcher is definitely going to contribute to the madness of what's going to happen in Doctor Strange 2. Because as we can see when they fight, it's affecting other universes. They arrive to one universe and the first thing Ultron does is completely wipe it out, pretty much making the universe just a plain desert. And as Ultron and the Watcher are fighting, Ultron says that he lacks the will to stop him, and we get probably one of the coolest lines in MCU history here. The Watcher essentially goes Super Saiyan and says, "You cannot compute the power of my will." They fight again and they break through several different multiverses until they land upon one and Ultron becomes Galactus. Huge Easter egg for Galactus here, the Devourer of Worlds. We actually see Ultron doing what Galactus does, eating planets. And even the image that they show of him as he's going to eat this planet looks just like him, which technically does mean that Galactus is MCU canon now, because this show is MCU canon. Now what's really interesting is that Ultron/Galactus actually does devour that planet in that universe, and the Watcher gets sent into another one where Captain America has now become President America. Steve Rogers is being sworn in as the President of the United States, which we see on a TV TV in the background. Whatever universe this is, I definitely want to see in live action, but then Ultron attacks the Watcher, and immediately when he smashes him, the universe shatters. We're then taken into a universe where they're at Wakanda, in which that shatters as well, turning into a universe where the Skrull are, but of course, another punch means another shatter of a universe. And here's where Ultron drops the line that is going to affect the MCU. He says, "The boundaries of the multiverse are irrelevant to beings like you and me." The Watcher then runs. He hides himself in a different universe. But we find out that Ultron now has full control over the ability to jump to different universes and monitor the multiverse. And this is the ultimate threat, which is why the Watcher goes to our previous friend, Strange Supreme, who has been trapped inside of that crystal ball this entire time. This answers the question that a lot of people had. Was he dead? Did the universe completely cease to exist, or is he trapped there? As it turns out, he is trapped there. But the Watcher went there for a specific reason. He needs his help. And he asks him for it. This is the first time that the Watcher is going to interfere because the multiverse is at jeopardy. And that's going to lead into the final episode where the Watcher kind of puts together a team that is kind of like an Avengers, but a galaxy multiversal Avengers. And this is most likely why the Illuminati is going to be formed in our MCU. It's rumored that the Illuminati and Multiverse of Madness are going to be revealed, and they're going to be a multiversal Illuminati tasked with protecting the multiverse along with the Watcher. Because remember, the Watcher is not supposed to interfere, however, he kind of had to in this situation. But hopefully, after this, it leads to the event and the formation of the Illuminati, and they will be the protectors of the multiverse. And since we're getting Strange Supreme, I would like to think that somehow he is actually going to affect Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Perhaps Strange Supreme and the Watcher have to warn our Doctor Strange in our main universe, the Sacred Timeline, about what is happening. Again, after No Way Home in Multiverse of Madness, it seems like the multiverse is going to become a lot more than just chaos, a lot more than just madness. It looks like it's all gonna come crashing down. And I think after next episode, the last episode of Marvel's What If of this season, we're gonna have a lot better of an idea of what to expect. So, last chance to drop all your theories about what is going to happen after the final episode of Marvel's What If right now. Drop them all in the comments down below and let me know what you thought of this episode. Rate it from 1 to 10. 10 being the best. Don't forget to subscribe for more Marvel content. Don't forget to like the video, and for live updates, you can always follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.